Hey guys, before you watch the video, I just wanted to let you know, for some reason the video quality is a little off. It's not super bad, it's still watchable, but I just wanted to let you know it's going to be a little off. Alright guys, so I believe there is one type of heavy cover that proves to consistently catch fish and catch big fish at that. That type of heavy cover? Lily pads. So, first thing, what is a lily pad? Well, it's this exact picture right here. That is what a lily pad is. It is a type of plant that is, each one is individually stemmed up, and it creates this kind of circle with a little notch in it. And fish love to hide under that in the heat of the summer and when they need to get under something to make them feel safe. And really, there's only a couple lures that really work well in lily pads to consistently catch big fish. And we're going to talk about two lures I think work best for this type of fishing and how to catch fish, what gear to use, and all that good stuff. So let's get into it. So the first thing, and probably the most easy thing to use because you see the bite, you set the hook hard and you get fish out of the cover. And I say it's easy. It's not easy, but it's easier than the second technique. And that is topwater frogs. I have two different topwater frogs here. I have a Sproul gliding frog that has the tails kind of vertically, like that, vertically. And then I have this frog that has the tail horizontally. I think I did that too, right? I don't know. But this is a Sproul frog. It's very, very durable. This is a Booyah Pad Crasher. This is like my darker color. This is if I'm in like kind of a cloudy situation or some situation where I guess there's clouds. And I want that darker color. And really, to be honest, you don't need to get crazy with your colors because the only thing the fish really see is the bottom half of the frog. So you can really stick to two main colors. I'd say white and yellow are really the only colors you need to catch bass on a topwater hollow-bellied frog. Hollow-bellied. I cannot say that word right. But this is my favorite frog right here. I like this frog a lot. I like this frog okay, but this thing walks a lot better. It's a lot more realistic in my opinion. Um, you know, you want your frog to be durable, but you don't want it to be so durable to where you can't get a good hook set. So I really like this frog. It works well. I can get a good hook set, and I can still drag fish out of heavy cover. Now, I want to talk about what part of lily pads you want to fish. So, if you watch Bass Fishing HQ, he has a video on this. He talks about points, pockets, all good stuff. But I think there is really one type of lily pad that consistently holds fish in almost every one of them, and you can catch some really big fish fishing this. And that is, I'll put a picture up here, little isolated clumps that sit aside from the main field of lily pads. And I've found that I catch a lot more fish on a topwater hollow-bodied frog in that stuff than I do in the thick of it. Now, the other lure I'm going to talk about later in this video is the punch rig, which actually I rigged up on there. But we're going to talk about that later because that is a tougher bait. I don't catch a lot of fish on a punch rig. It's just not my forte. I like top waters and I like power fishing, but I don't love the punch rig. I want to learn it more. I'm not very good at punching, but I'll probably go into depth on punching in another video. But just want to talk about the setup I have here. I have the Lewis Mach 2 SLP Speed Spool, the super low profile. It's got nice knobs. It's a 7.5 to 1 gear ratio reel. I have 65 pound test braided line. Listen, for both these techniques, I think you need braided line. For a frog, definitely don't go fluorocarbon because that sinks and that has a little bit more stretch than mono. And you're just going to find yourself breaking off a lot of frogs and you won't be able to get the fish out of the thick vegetation, such as lily pads. There's less thick types of vegetation, but I think lily pads are the most consistent type of vegetation that you find in all bodies of water. Yeah, I have a 1 ounce tungsten weight here. I'm not going to talk about punching in this video. Actually, I'm really just going to talk about frogs. That's not going to be in the title, but that is really what I'm talking about. But there's a couple of different styles of fishing a frog. But before I start anything about that, I want to talk about the gear you need. I'd say you need at least a 7.2. You could probably go shorter, but it'll get harder to winch fish out of heavy cover. But I have a favorite Pro Series. It's in 7.6 heavy. I repeat, you need a heavy powered rod to be able to winch, especially big fish, I'd say over 1.5 pounds, out of heavy cover because it is it's a lot harder than you may think. You may have never fished around lily pads and you're like, how hard can it be? It is really, really hard. I used to fish with a lighter action rod and it's impossible. I can't do it with a medium heavy. A medium heavy is better for when you're fishing in open water with a frog, but I always recommend going with that heavy powered rod or extra heavy. If you really need it, an extra heavy will work a little bit better because if you're plunging, I wouldn't really use an extra heavy. That's overpowering you. But with a frog, an extra heavy is probably not a bad choice, especially if you're fishing in the thickness of the pads, the main field where there is a lot of pads. Yeah, I like a heavy powered rod. I think 7.6 is probably what you want to go with, depending on how tall you are. I'm a little bit taller, so 7.6 is pretty good for me. If you're shorter, you might want to go 7.2, 7.3, maybe 7.4. But I'm taller, I think, maybe. I don't know. But I like that 7.6. It gives me some good leverage. But I really want to talk about why these, or maybe not why, because I'm not really sure why. I'm sure there's other videos out there on YouTube that can explain this. But I want to share with you some techniques for fishing those pads that are kind of offset from the rest and they're in their own little isolated patch. And some of these can look as big as this, some can look as big as that, but I promise you, you'll catch fish consistently on them. There's two different retrieves I like to do. I like to cast there's three. One is sometimes I will literally just cast right in the middle of the pads, and a lot of times, and just this past week, I had a fish hit it not even a second after it hit the water. A lot of times, those fish, they're actively looking for bait, and they just hit it as soon as it hits there. They're not thinking about eating it. They just know they're hungry, and they need to eat something quick. But that's not always the way to do it. Sometimes they really are trying to get a good look at it, and you can spook them a lot by doing that. So don't do that too much if you're not catching any fish doing that. But that's one technique. The other technique I have is throw it a long ways, maybe not long, but 10 to 20 yards past that patch, especially if it's closer to you. You don't want to be going plump. You cast it past there so that you are stealthy, and as you walk it over, a lot of times you'll get a big blow up, and you will end up catching some big fish. That technique doesn't always work. I think it's the most useful technique for fishing in frog and pads, but it's definitely not always the way to go. The last technique is just, and the other technique when you do that, I want you walk it slowly over. Do not walk it fast. The third technique is to do that exact same thing, cast it about 20 yards past it, maybe not 20, maybe 15 at the most. And then work it quickly. I mean quickly, because a lot of fish are aggressive. They are not wanting to let that bait get away as soon as it gets up there. They just want to smack it. Some fish are crazy aggressive, some aren't, so that's why the slower techniques are going to work better for them. But these faster techniques are going to work best with a fish that is feeding really quickly and wants to get fat, especially for the fall and the winter. This is why this is such a good technique in the winter, because it's a big meal for the fish. Not the winter, sorry, the fall. Kind of early fall to mid fall, that transition area. But I think this is the best technique for fall fishing, because maybe besides like a big jig or a worm or a whopper plopper, this is a really good technique if you're fishing in and around heavy cover such as lily pads. But for both these frogs, I'm going to use the same rod, the 7.6 heavy, because I don't have another heavy action rod. But we're not going to talk about punching in this video just because I don't think it works as well as a frog. A frog is, without a doubt, my favorite and the most fun type of fishing out there. You get a big blow up, you gotta reel down, you gotta set the hook hard. It's a very, very fun technique. Now, you can take my word for it and go out there, but I definitely am not promising you're gonna catch fish doing either of these techniques. But I guarantee you'll have a chance. And I'm making this video not just to be a know-it-all, but I have quite a bit of experience from fishing a lot of bodies of water and a lot of pads, and I have made probably hundreds, if not thousands, of casts over lily pads and not got a single bite because I was fishing in the wrong stuff. Most of the time, when you get in those very small lily pads that are about that big or so, very small, you're not going to get as many bites. There's not as many fish in there, especially when it's up shallow. In fact, Connecticut has had a really big drought, or at least this part of Connecticut has had a massive drought. In fact, I'll show you a clip of when I went to the river. I was gonna post that video, but I think that I didn't catch any fish in it. I figured it's not gonna be really worth it because nobody's gonna watch it. I guarantee you. I mean, I would be surprised if somebody watched it, but this is how crazy it was. I'll put an arrow. That's where the water used to be, and now it's all the way down there. It got low. We had a massive drought. Every body of water has been just lower than normal, and that really affects the fishing. Not a ton, but it does. I was surprised to find trout, but they were really isolated in those little spots. I mean, trout are really they move a lot, so they were moving up and downstream all the time, but they were mainly isolated in that one little pool. It wasn't a very big pool. You could wade in it. You could easily see good 10, 15 fish in a day. I mean, it was a really cool area. I hooked a fish, but it got off. I think my rod might have been a little bit too stiff with the braid and everything. I don't know. You might want a lighter action rod. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this video, guys. If you did enjoy it, if you got any information out of it, hit that like button for me. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. I'm trying to get to 420 subscribers so I can do that giveaway. Yeah, I'm super excited for the giveaway. I'd love to get to 500 to get the community tab, but also comment if you learned anything. I think I might have already said that, but there it is again. Comment if you learned something from this video. I want you to go out and try the techniques I told you as soon as you can. Tell me what happened. You can comment. You can trying to think if there's another way. You can email me. I'll put my email in the description. Yeah, I think this was a pretty good video. I mean, you can let me know if I did a terrible job on it or not, but I think it's pretty good. I would have made this video outside. I don't know, but it's thunderstorming. It's kind of scary outside, and I don't like thunder because
It's scary.
I don't know what else to say. But in the next video, I don't know, whatever. If you guys want to see punching tips for that stuff, let me know in the comments. I'm not gonna make that for a long time because I'm not even really got fish punching a big way. I still got a lot to learn about it, but I have been fishing lily pads for a couple of years now, and I have learned a lot of things about them, such as what the information I just gave you. Now I'm not saying none of those pads are gonna, the big fields are gonna have fish. I'm just saying you're gonna catch more with these patches that are offset to the side. Even if it's still like attached to a point, maybe you still got pads that are connected, not connected, but very close to each other. It doesn't have to be like 20 yards away from it. I'm just saying anything that really just stands out. I'll do another video if you want me to. Comment down below if you want me to do it. I'll do another video if you want on the thickness of the pads and what to look for to catch fish in there, because you might not have isolated clumps. You can let me know that in the comments. But yeah, if you want to send me anything or you have something you want me to review, if you're a company, I'm a big fan of topwater frogs. If you're a company that just happens to be a topwater frog fisherman or company, I'd love to try out your frogs. I want to try out a couple different styles of frogs, see which one gets more bites. But as for now, I will see you guys in the next video. Let me know what I should do next. After Jack.